What's up, guys? This is the Homeschool Entrepreneur Dad. Welcome to my channel. And yeah, it took me a while to set this up and just talk to the camera straight. I am a videographer as well. I know I have the high quality cameras and I have the video editing skills. But because of me like just doing the initial setup was kind of like daunting my mind, and I was kind of nervous to make these videos. It was just making me procrastinate, and I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna put my phone up on my car mount here and just start. So yes, this video is titled 31-year-old homeschooling dad that lives with his mom. When I started to wake up and really look at life was when I found out I was gonna become a father. And for me, my whole mindset was always, I'm gonna live this hedonistic lifestyle. I don't care. All I care about is dancing. I'm a dancer, and chasing girls. That's all I really wanted to do, honestly. Look good, dance, become famous, become rich. The whole, young mindset, young man mindset. And that's all I really wanted to do. And then I found out I was going to become a father, and all the things that I told myself I'll never do, that my parents did to me or didn't do, it all became real. And so around that time, like all the things I said I wasn't gonna do, if I ever had a kid, I'll never be like this, I'll never do that, and all that, I had to be accountable for those things. So man, this is freaking cold. I want to turn the heat off. All the things I promised myself that I'll never be and never become, it was time to face the reality of that. And it changed my whole life. And this is during 2020. Maybe it was 2019, 2020. Around that time, I found out I was going to become a father. And during this whole time, you know what happened in 2020. The whole this and the sickness, the illness that's been going around. So it kind of woke me up to reality. And since then, I promised myself, or the idea of homeschooling and not having my child in the state, not having my child, upbringing being outsourced, all this stuff was very appealing to me. And that's when I just started doing tons of research, more conservative homeschooling, homesteading research. And this is the time I realized, yeah, that's the thing. So that got me into parenting. That got me into the homeschooling perspective. And long story short, in the beginning, when I found out I was going to become a father, I don't even remember, 26. Right, yeah, 26. I realized I had no skills. I was a bum, I could dance. I can dance like crazy. I can teach like crazy. And I guess I have attempted to start a business with dancing as well. And I've auditioned, and I've been in some, I've been on TV sometimes, like a few times, but it wasn't paying the bills, and it wasn't like a real skill set that I could use. Like, it could make me money, and I have cool sets, and I'm athletically fit, but I just couldn't do that to provide for my family, So, and it's, volatile, it's either it works or it don't, unless you become a really successful dance teacher, or choreographer, or you're dancing for a celebrity or something, and you're going on tour. And of course I can't go on tour because I have a family to raise now. So in that sense, I became a father. I started to figure out skill sets. I try to pay off all my debt I have. Still have debt now. Back then, worked my butt off to pay off all my debt. And I was like, all right, I need some skills. So that's when I started to, I kind of let go of like the entertainment field, like the YouTube stuff. I was doing YouTube a little bit here and there, but I gave up on it. The filming, I gave up on it. Dancing, I gave up on it pretty much. I was angry with it. I guess I'll talk about that another time. But started doing research on the handyman stuff. There's a YouTuber named The Handyman here. Great guy. I learned a lot from watching his videos. And went to, handyman, like mechanical stuff. Like I have some kind of certificate for precision machinery. And I mean, of course, I never got hired for it. And I went to HVAC school. You know, I was doing like an apprenticeship with a carpenter or another handyman. I had two mentors or two carpenters that I was under at first, right? Before I went to the trade schools. Awful experience with both of those guys. Bunch of dickheads, and and I do see one of them around my town. Anyway, we'll get into that another time. But yeah, and from there I just learned how to be more handy, because I realized, man, like as a man, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. My dad didn't really teach me how. We'll get into that another time. He didn't teach me how to do all these things, and I didn't know how to do anything. And like there's times when I was living in my mom's basement and like looking up at the ceiling, and I was like, what if this ceiling just collapses upon me, right? And it's ridiculous, right? Most likely it won't happen, but I realized I just didn't understand the structural integrity. I didn't understand the mechanics and the whole lowdown of what it takes to build a house and why it's strong and the physics behind it. It's not like you need to know the physics behind it, but I just had no grasp of it. Like I was very inept and no skills, you know, and that's a hard reality I had to, when I found out I was gonna become a father. I was like, wow, I know nothing. I don't know how to take care of this child. I don't know how to build anything with my hands. I'm very bad with money and I have no connections. And it was a very big twist. And now, you know, 5 years later, way more capable, way more skilled. Also, like just dealing with all kinds of situations and people during this whole journey allowed me to be more confident in myself, more secure with myself. And now I know how to handle myself in certain interactions, businesses, people, whatever the case may be, which is cool. I was very inept in many things, you know, but being a father makes you really look very hard at yourself. So that's one aspect of being a father, what changed my life. And then the homeschooling aspect, I wasn't always homeschooling. I mean, I had time, right? Time. With the mother of my child, we're no longer together, but we're still co-parenting, and we're doing our best to get along. It's not perfect. We do our best to get along. But we're no longer living together, but we were living together. At one point, you know, we were living in a small apartment. And she was married before, and she had previous children. So that's another tough situation, that I can get into in another video. But we were living together, and our relationship was very volatile, very argumentative, unfortunately. And it was back and forth. We're living together, and move out, living together, all that kind of situation. But eventually I was like, we need to move in together, and we got another place, a home together. And that got my anxiety up. That got my, because I lived in houses all my life, but my dad, can't really blame him. He was also working a lot, and my mom was also working a lot. It was hard to maintain a home. I didn't know how to maintain a home because no one really showed me how, and I didn't understand what it was like, what it took to maintain a home. So when I first got a house, it was with a highly conflicted relationship, and a house that I didn't understand how much it would really take, because to get the house, to maintain the home, and to the cost, the mortgage and the utilities, and raising my child plus other children, and having a very highly conflicted home was immensely stressed, and it was wearing me down. So we lived in this home, I think 2 years, but in those 2 years, there were some high moments and low moments, but then the low moments hit me so hard, and we can get into it another time. But eventually I was a former shell of myself. Also, I was working, I got into HVAC. I went to HVAC school because all these little things I was trying to do, like I was doing eBay, I was trying to doing some side hustles and stuff like that, and it just wasn't paying the bills. I had to take a very hard look at myself again. Just wasn't working, so I went to HVAC, which was crazy. It was an hour and a half commute to go to the school, an hour and a half back. Go to the school, and then when I came back, I was working as a cashier in the evenings, and I was trying to do homework and stuff like that. Barely seeing my kid. It was tough. I got through it. Got a good job. That job was killing me. HVAC work is hard, and I was, I was working 7 days a week, 5 days a week at the HVAC, 7 days a week, doing, fixing stuff for rental properties, right? Like from family members that have rental properties, I was fixing stuff up and stuff like that. Or even like working, the whole shift, hard shift, on Monday to Friday, and working again in the evenings to fix stuff up. And like, it was brutal. I was working maybe like, I don't even know, maybe 80 hours a week, 70 to 80 hours in a highly physically intense job. So eventually, like, you end up like brain fogged all the time because you're so exhausted. You're just like, and that was dangerous, of course, dangerous. And it just was a former shell of myself. And of course, I'm working like crazy. I'm doing my best to, spend time with my child. My boy was great, and beautiful times being with my boy. Even though I was exhausted, still will go out my way to play with my boy. But it was constant arguments, man. It was like I'm going to battle to provide for my family, and it was like a battle at home. Plus, it was so expensive to live in that house. It was so expensive. I couldn't afford it. So the anxiety and depression was off the roof. And I hated that I was working so much, and I wanted to homeschool my child like really bad. But long story short, we'll get into it in another video. It all just came to a crashing halt, Boom. It was ugly. Like the way it happened, I was just like, I have to go. Like, my son's mother and I, we will have discussions and stuff like that, but it just wasn't working. And one day I just like, we have to stop. And I moved back home with my mom. And that house gone, all the logistical stuff, we all separated, and for last year was a transitional, or a year and a half, I think, maybe 2 years at this point. I don't know. I don't remember. No, about a year and a half. Long transitional period. Okay. Yeah, huge transitional period, but this was the year where I grew the most. I finally got back to homeostasis, where I'm level-minded, and I'm no longer a former shell of myself, but I'm myself and more. That stress was immense. The financial strain for that house was immense. Dealing with my son's mother and her children, being in that situation, the stress was immense. And for me to go from that, and also doing a trade job, working 7 days a week, now down to, all that's put aside now down to, being homeschooling my son, and, doing little side hustles and stuff like that. Stuff that I love to do, videography, doing some handyman stuff. I'm about to go buy some stuff right now. I'm in front of Home Depot right now to buy some stuff to help, repair some stuff. Doing little repairs here and there is fine. But no longer working 7 days a week, killing myself, and having that all my entire paycheck or entire whatever I made in that set just go to bills, like, and not saving. And that was insane, But anyway, my expenses, I still have a lot of, I'm not saving right now. It's tough to meet my expenses, even me living at home, right? I still have tons of things to pay for, car note, insurance. uh homeschooling activities and stuff like that. All this money I'm making from the side hustle and stuff gone, and I have to reinvest in my videography business. You know, life. It's life, right? Barely making it, barely paying my own bills, but the stress is way more down. Stress is still there. Life, it's life. I'm a father. I'm homeschooling myself. And my son's with me 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 24 hours a day. The stress is there, but not like how it used to be. I'm not going to battle every day till I'm working, till all my energy is zero, and I'm coming home and having another battle with my ex and dealing with her children, right? And I don't want to seem like F that woman and her. No, it's not like that at all. We're cool. We're trying to be more cool. We're cool. And we'll get into that another time. And end of the day, that woman is still the mother of my child, and we're on good terms. So I just want you to understand that. But it was just a bad situation. It's not our fault. We're still dealing with our problems, and we're meeting each other, trying to meet each other at the same. It's not each other's fault. Anyway, the stress reduced, and I'm doing things that I like to do and making money from it, which is awesome. I'm dancing again. I'm doing videography again. These two things I love to do. I'm creating content, this stuff again. This is all like after a whole year and a half of a transitional period and growing period. Now it's like the time, or more of a transitional period, to go back to homeostasis. Now I'm at the point where I'm growing again. Now I'm building myself up again. It took me a while to come to full cycle, and I'm okay. I'm sane. I don't have that crazy brain fog. All right, now I can build myself. All right, what can I do to figure out my finances? What can I do to build this so-called career? I don't know. At the same time, like, what can I do to make more money? What can I do to enhance the homeschooling lifestyle? That's where I'm at now, which is beautiful. And I am blessed. God has been protecting me. He's been watching out for me. He's been like, yeah, man, looking out for me. And took me a while. I mean, we're going back to God. Took me a while to start to accept him in my heart too, which is, I'm getting a little teary, but, and to be in that year and a half transitional period, and seeing now, looking back at it now, how much God has been looking out for me. And I just was like, not really talking to him. And it's, it's tough. God's been a parent. He's my dad. He's my father, looking out for his son, just like I'm a father looking out for my son, and helping him through a distance because he loves him. And now, like, everything is kind of gone full circle. And the grace of God, by the grace of God, I'm so thankful. God has been looking out for me. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed, And now, like, that I opened my heart to God, I'm starting to realize how much he's done for me, how much he's still doing for me, how much he's protected me and my family and my loved ones. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And yeah, that's pretty much my whole story for now. There's definitely more to it. There's definitely more details I have to go to, but yeah, homeschooling entrepreneurial dad, because I say entrepreneur, homeschool, obviously, dad, entrepreneur, because I'm always doing these hustles that I'm trying to make it into a full hustle. And yeah. I don't know how to end this, but yeah, that's the story. That's where I got into homeschooling. Now that I live at home with my mom, I'm able to homeschool, okay? Which is graceful, and it's a blessing in itself. My mom, is able to she has a home, and I don't have to pay for rent, or utilities. I do help out around the house, stuff like that, fixing stuff and stuff like that. I don't have to pay for all of that, so that I have the time and the finances to invest whatever I make into my child, which is such a blessing, And yeah, and my goal right now is to, it's funny. It's a funny place. I don't want to get too much into it. It's a funny place right now because a lot of these things that I were doing before, a lot of relationships I have, they're kind of being dismantled, right? Everything that I thought that I was gonna do, relationships that I thought was gonna be prosperous, or the direction I thought I was gonna go to, and it just all kind of dismantled into the right. It like all fell apart into the right place. It like, oh, you're actually supposed to be. You're going here, and it's all kind of working out. And I've been like, I'm at a reset point where now God said, hey, you're at homeostasis. Now you can go. You're finally ready to go do this, and that's where I'm at right now. And to the point where the entrepreneur stuff, like a lot of clients, like videography clients, some of them fell apart. Business relationships have fallen apart, but it gave me the time to finally do this, to make videos. And that's what I want to do. And I also want to be able to focus on helping my family out with their businesses and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at, and do stuff that I like to do. I really like doing little handyman stuff. That's one. And I also like doing some courier stuff, driving around and having my experience like that. And I love, having my son being part of it and doing this homeschooling lifestyle. It's a very strange thing. First of all, I'm about to end this video. First of all, I'm a homeschooling dad. That's rare in itself. But second is to having, this weird, I have a very strange, I don't live on a farm. I still live in in a city. I would say a small town, but it's still a city. And yeah, I mean, eventually I would love a farm or homestead kind of thing. And yeah, and this is my life. And I dance, and I fix stuff, and I'm making content. Yeah, I'm just very interested in seeing where all of this goes. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment if you're a homeschooler, if you're a homeschooling parent, subscribe if you can. If you guys are like-minded, you guys love God, if you want to do homeschooling, you love homeschooling, you like watching me do dad stuff and fix stuff, and I don't know, figure out how to make money on my journey to make money, give me a follow, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.